There's a kind of tiredness that no one sees. A deep exhaustion that hides behind the eyes of someone who's been tirelessly trying to create a new reality, yet nothing seems to shift. Perhaps you know this weariness. It's not just physical fatigue. It's born in the silence of days that repeat themselves, even after so many affirmations, visualizations, nightly scripts, and hopeful meditations. There's a subtle pain in wanting with all your soul and still seeing everything stay the same. And this pain, quiet and invisible, is often carried as spiritual guilt, as if you were the problem, as if you lacked faith, focus, or energy. But what if the issue isn't a lack of effort? What if what's blocking everything is, in fact, the excess of wanting? Somewhere along the spiritual path, we were taught that we must desire intensely, insist vibrationally, keep our intentions burning, never give up. But there's a paradox in that, one that few truly understand. The more you desperately want something, the more you emit the frequency of its absence. Every, "I want this so badly," sends the message, "I still don't have it," to the field. And this subtle dissonance is what keeps the scarcity cycle going, even when you believe you're aligned with abundance. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The more pressure you apply, the faster it slips through your fingers. Neville Goddard, one of the great minds behind conscious manifestation, never spoke of effort. He spoke of feeling. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. But what does that truly mean? It's not about repeating something is yours, nor faking a certainty you don't feel. It's about resting in the vibration of already having it. Of it already being done. It's a state of quiet presence that doesn't need proof. A sacred place within where the heart no longer begs but begins to give thanks. Not because everything outside has changed, but because inside, there is no more lack. There is wholeness. This is the mystery we will explore in this video. The subtle physics of when you stop chasing, and reality begins to come to you. The invisible mechanism that shifts your inner field and, silently and effortlessly, begins to reshape the external world. This is not a trick. It's a shift in vibrational identity. A reconnection with the frequency of already is, the frequency that exists beyond time, beyond doubt, beyond longing. If you're tired of trying, if you feel like you've done everything right and life still isn't responding, if your faith has wavered and the light within you feels dim, take a deep breath. This video won't give you another technique. It will remind you of something your consciousness already knows, but your effort forgot. Get ready to let go. And allow the invisible to do what only it can do. There's a subtle frequency that most don't perceive when immersed in the deep desire for transformation. It's the vibration of absence. It may sound contradictory, but the more you affirm that you want something, the more you tell the quantum field that it's still not present. And the field doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you vibrate. The energy of seeking, even dressed in spirituality, often carries the silent echo of lack. With every, "I want this," the field hears, "This is missing." It's like an anxious prayer that amplifies the absence of the miracle. This frequency doesn't come from a moral failure. It's born of the neurological patterns we've been trained to follow. Our brains, driven by dopamine, are wired to seek, not to rest. The excitement of desire activates circuits that keep us in a state of anticipation, and prolonged anticipation becomes anxiety. And anxiety vibrates scarcity. In this loop, even the most noble practices, visualizing, affirming, meditating, can become disguised forms of trying to control the invisible. And control, at its core, is the opposite of surrender. Perhaps you felt this. You do your practices, you feel connected, but soon after, you start looking for signs. You check your phone expecting a message. You check your bank account hoping for change. You observe people's reactions trying to see if anything has shifted. And when you don't find what you hoped for, a small emptiness settles in. A sigh of disappointment. That's not spiritual weakness. It's a silent addiction to external validation. A learned mechanism that conditions our trust on immediate evidence. But the quantum field doesn't move by confirmation, it aligns with conviction. This is one of the deepest invisible blocks. Because it happens even when we believe we're trusting. The search for signs is often a disguised form of doubt. And doubt carries a specific vibration, one that interrupts the collapse of the reality already on its way. Neville Goddard called this interference. When you look at reality waiting for changes as if it owes you proof, you activate the controlling observer. And in that moment, manifestation withdraws. Because the field responds to vibrational coherence, not to anxious expectation. And here lies one of the greatest spiritual misunderstandings, detachment. Many believe detachment means not caring. That it's giving up or accepting lack as fate. But that is indifference, not true detachment. Detachment is assuming the state of already is. It's living with the silent certainty that what you desire is already resolved in the field, even if it hasn't yet manifested in linear time. It's like walking a path with your eyes closed, yet knowing where the ground is. The subconscious doesn't understand words. It understands states. You can say 1,000 times that you trust, but if your body vibrates anxiety, it registers doubt. And that's what it transmits. So the way forward isn't to force a positive vibration, it's to dissolve the false identity of someone still seeking. Because you're not someone trying to get something. You are the creative field itself, expressing in human form what is already whole. Letting go of the desire doesn't mean you stop wanting. It means you recognize that your wanting has already been heard. And you rest in the vibration of one who has already received. There's a point where effort becomes noise. An invisible threshold where everything you do starts to interfere with what could unfold naturally. At that point, the field doesn't need your action, it needs your silence. Not the silence of abandonment, but that fertile stillness where the soul rests in trust. Quantum physics suggests that reality only manifests when the wave collapses, and paradoxically, this collapse happens more powerfully when the observer dissolves into presence. Not when trying to shape reality, but when becoming one with the state of already being. Imagine the space between your inhale and exhale. A micro-moment where nothing is being done, yet everything is ready to happen. That is where the power of not doing lives. In that space, the quantum field finds ground free from resistance, able to reorganize patterns, realign frequencies, and collapse possibility into manifested reality. Neville Goddard called this, the moment of assumption, when you cease to be someone who wants and become the one who is. And it is in this interval, between desire and manifestation, that the feeling of fulfillment is born. A state that is not forced, only allowed. Now, let's practice something different. A vibrational exercise that asks nothing of you but permission. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Once more. Now silently ask yourself, if it were already real, how would I feel right now? Let the answer come not in words, but as sensation. It might be lightness in your chest. A gentle warmth in your hands. A soft release through your shoulders. Stay there for a few moments. This is the state of already being. There's no struggle, no search. Only presence. You can return to this state anytime. It doesn't have to last all day. A few moments of coherent vibration are enough to inform the field that the collapse may begin. And here's the most curious part: when you no longer demand evidence, the invisible finally finds space to become visible. There's a story that illustrates this beautifully. A woman, tired of trying to manifest a relationship, decided to pause. Not to give up, to pause. She stopped affirming, visualizing, and looking for signs. Instead, she started walking each day with the feeling that someone already loved her deeply. She didn't imagine a face. She didn't build a fantasy. She simply walked as one who is loved. Weeks passed. No signs. No answers. But there was peace. Until one day, without warning, everything shifted. An unexpected encounter. A spontaneous conversation. And there it was, what she had been seeking, but not in the way she expected. The manifestation didn't happen because she stopped wanting. It happened because, by no longer interfering, she allowed reality to flow toward her in the frequency of already received. The lesson is simple, but deep: reality resists as long as your vibration resists. And resistance isn't always denial, often, it's the subtle control, the obsessive expectations, the micromanagement of spirit. But when you dissolve that noise through the quiet presence of not doing, the field responds with precision. Because what already is, doesn't need to be achieved. Only recognized. There's a phase in the manifestation journey that rarely gets discussed, and many give up before crossing it. It's that quiet period where something inside you has already changed. But on the outside, everything still seems the same. No signs. No responses. No evidence that the invisible is in motion. That's when the real test begins. Not a test from the universe, but from your own vibration. Can you remain in your inner state, even when the outer world still echoes the past? This is the trap of linear time. It convinces us that if nothing has happened yet, maybe nothing will. But the quantum field doesn't follow the ticking of the clock. It responds to frequency, not to deadlines. And the frequency that sustains the collapse of reality is made of vibrational patience. Not patience as in anxious waiting, but as spiritual maturity, the ability to remain in the already is, without demanding immediate confirmation. Maybe you're in that exact place right now. You feel lighter. More aware. Something within you has shifted. But when you look around, the same patterns, the same questions, the same absence. And in this quiet, the old mind begins to creep in. Are you sure this is working? Maybe you should try another method. Are you just fooling yourself? And with those questions, comes the urge to start running again. To try to force reality into movement, by action, not vibration. But here's the hidden truth of that void: doing nothing isn't a passive state. It's an active one, filled with presence. It's not giving up. It's radical trust. When you choose not to interfere, you're telling the field, I know who I am. And I know what's mine is already on its way. That silent presence creates a magnetic field of coherence. A vibrational space where manifestation doesn't need to be forced, it is welcomed. In quantum physics, there's a fascinating concept: the observer affects the behavior of particles. But there's an often overlooked nuance: when the observer simply witnesses, without interference, the collapse happens more fluidly. What does that mean spiritually? That when you observe your life with acceptance, without needing to control each detail, the field collapses in the direction of what you're already vibrating. The invisible moves more freely when it's not being asked to prove itself. That's why staying in the state is more important than trying to make it happen. But how do you sustain that state? How do you keep vibrating already is, in the midst of routine, fear, doubt, and sameness? The answer lies in creating an inner model that doesn't depend on external stimulation to stay alive. That means building a vibrational ritual of maintenance. Not a long or complicated practice, but simple, consistent gestures that re-anchor your frequency. Like waking up and touching your heart in silent gratitude. Drinking your morning coffee with the feeling that everything is already resolved. Walking through your day not as someone waiting, but as someone who already is. These practices aren't magical. They're vibrational reminders. Internal structures that hold your field even when the mind wavers. And over time, they create such a stable pattern that reality has no choice but to reorganize around your new frequency. This is the true ritual of not waiting, but of already being. There is no rush. Because what is yours is already on its way. And your only role is to stay open. In the end, everything circles back to the beginning. To that inner space where you no longer need to prove anything, nor chase anything. Where who you are already holds what you seek. At that point, manifestation is no longer a goal, it becomes a natural consequence of your vibrational state. You don't manifest through effort. You manifest through coherence. And coherence isn't about spiritual perfection. It's about honest alignment, between what you feel, believe, and vibrate, even on days when nothing seems to be happening. Stopping isn't giving up. It's trusting so deeply that doing dissolves into being. It's as if your soul whispered to the universe, I no longer need to run. I've found myself in the place where everything begins. That place isn't physical. It's an inner field. A state of consciousness. And when you inhabit it with sincerity, the invisible begins to move. Not because you demanded it, but because you allowed it. There's a silent intelligence guiding everything. It doesn't respond to urgency. It responds to frequency. When you rest in the vibration of already is, even without signs, even without proof, that intelligence starts to organize the paths. It brings what you need through synchronicity, not effort. Reality begins to chase you, because finally, you stopped pushing it away. Remember, the flower doesn't bloom because you yell at it. It blooms because it's in tune with the season. Your manifestation works the same way. It happens in the timing of the soul. And that timing, though invisible, is perfect. So the final invitation isn't for you to do more. It's for you to do less. Feel more. Remain more. Observe without interfering. Breathe without expecting. Be still without disconnecting. The manifestation you've been yearning for already exists somewhere in the field. And the shortest path to it may be exactly this: stop trying to make it happen. And allow the invisible to do the rest. Because everything that is true, always finds a way to become visible. And maybe, all you needed to hear today, was just this. You already are.